Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome, everyone. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network, featured on the Roar 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. Welcome. But before we get into our first topic, I want to talk about our winners of our front row Lions tickets to the 49ers. Let me tell you, these are the sweetest people in the world. We picked such a good winner. They were so thankful. Yeah, there's their pictures. Look, they're having so much fun. They were front row. They're literally awesome. Nicest people. So thankful.
That's a nice seat.
Right? They were awesome seats. So, yeah, they called me. They were sending me pictures. They were texting me the whole time. They're so sweet. So shout out to them. I'm glad they had a good time. They deserve it. So, and shout out to Wicked Awesome Wishes for setting that up for them. I'm glad they won. We picked a good winner for sure. But that being said, we have to talk about Jeff Okudah. He's been officially ruled out for the season because he had a ruptured Achilles. People are saying that he's now a permanent bust because he's missing this season. So, Jeff, what do you think, and how important was the sophomore season for him?
It definitely sets him back. Obviously, what we know from Jeff Okudah is he's only played in 10 career NFL games. It's a very small sample size. And what we've taken from them is some bad performances, certainly a couple good flashes, taken third overall, so the expectations are set extremely high. But let's be honest, he was set up to fail initially with Matt Patricia. They threw him right into the fire. A secondary was already terrible, and they were expecting him to be the savior. Obviously taking him third overall from Ohio State. Didn't have a single pass interference in college, all that crap. But his season ended early last year. Had the hamstring injury, and then obviously he's already had groin issues. Had surgery on the groin, ended his season prematurely. But it's crazy. Like I was doing some research. He even got injured during the NFL Combine. So this is something for Okudah. He's just been battling through. But it showed an iffy performance against Game 1 against the 49ers. Dan Campbell said it best. You've seen some good, but you've certainly seen some bad. And you saw Aubrey Pleasant chewing him out on the sideline. But that's what we expected. He's going into his sophomore season. He hasn't had a training camp. It's his first training camp. He's going to have those mistakes, especially early on. What you're hoping is he builds off of them. And, of course, suffering that terrible Achilles injury. But listen, and I want to say this too, Achilles injuries or ACL injuries, anything for that matter, these cornerbacks are an awful, awful injury. It sets them back. I mean, cornerbacks, you need to be able to change direction quickly, change speeds quickly. And you ask Richard Sherman. He tore his Achilles as well, had an MCL injury, not an ACL, but he's been through it. I mean, Jason Verrett just went out with an ACL injury. These guys, it's hard to really come back from these type of injuries. And Achilles is, a year out. So now we're going to have to see him come back his third season and kind of work his way back into football shape. So it sets him back definitely. And it sucks. But the good thing is the Lions weren't expected to go all the way this year. So it kind of opens up some playing time and reps for other corners like, A.J. Parker, Jerry Jacobs, guys that you want to see hit the field more. Iffy, of course, the third-round pick out of Syracuse. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's sad. It's horrible news, but he's going to be out this whole entire year. He's going to rehab, and hopefully, next year we see just something we can build off of. And you don't want to see his career go to waste off of Achilles or even more injuries in the future. So, he'll get healthy and he'll get up, but it's sad. I'm not going to lie. This is a big year. We both agreed on that. Sophomore season, he was coming out. He was one of the top corners. They cut Quentin Dunbar. It was pretty much the Amani Oruwariye and Jeff Okudah show. If they wanted to produce, they easily could have. And, yeah, it sets him back with an injury.
To answer the question, no, he's not a bust yet. But you want to talk about people becoming, on bust alert? This is it. Missing 80% of your games in the first 2 years isn't a good sign at all.
No.
At all. Jeff Okudah has had every opportunity to show development. And you know what he's done? He hasn't shown it. And that is very frustrating if you're a Detroit Lions fan or if you're in the organization and the coaching staff. The guy is still making the very same mistakes that he was making last year in the preseason against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jeff Okuda was beaten on a go route. We all remember very well. Jeff Okuda still making mistakes. Oh my goodness. Hey, Adam, it's only preseason. Relax. Okay. Adam's relaxed. I'm good now. Week 1. He gets burnt again. Why? Because for some reason, a cornerback who is covering somebody for 4, 5, 6 seconds never turns around and looks at the quarterback. And that's the only reason that play ended up the way it did. And I'm not sure where his head's at, but it's clearly not important right now because he's going to miss the rest of the season. And I said it yesterday. You cannot afford to have Jeff Okuda and Penei Sewell turn out to be busts, which is why I believe you need to give Jeff Okuda all the time in the world to come back from this and become at least something, because you spent a number 3 pick on him. The Lions are not in a position to just cut Jeff Okuda the way they cut Jelani Tavai. That's the number 3 overall pick, whether you like it or not. You're not in a position to just move on. So you got to wait for him to rehab. He'll come in probably back by October of next year, and you hope and pray that he's a much better player than what he is today or the last year. Moving on to Sewell, same thing. A fortunate injury in his case because he looked god-awful on the right. It took Taylor Decker going down for the next 6 to 8 weeks just for Penei to move to the left. And, of course, we all know what happened week 1, and it was very promising. Cool. Mark that in the book. That's great. But Jeff Okuda's got work to do, man. He's got work to do. He's not a bust yet, but he's on track to become a bust. When we talk about busts, it's not just their play. Availability.
It's where they were drafted as well.
Where they were drafted makes a huge impact. Jelani Tavai was a bust because he wasn't on people's draft boards and he was taken in the 2nd round. Jamarcus Russell was a bust because he was taken number 1 overall and flaked out right away. Nobody would have considered a Draymond Green or a Tom Brady a bust had they not turned out to be the players they are. Draymond Green turns into an all-star. He's a 2nd round pick. Who cares? Nobody expected it, right? Tom Brady, 6th round pick. If he would have flaked out in the league, you wouldn't even care. This is the 1st pick for the Detroit Lions, and he just so happened to go number 3 overall. The guy needs to play. The guy needs to get better. Wish him a speedy recovery, but oh man, they didn't look good with him on the field. I mean, without him on the field, I thought it was irrelevant. You know, people said they looked better with Okuda out. I don't believe that was the case. The Niners were just running the ball the whole time to waste clock, but You'll see what AJ Parker's about, what Iffy's about. You'll see what the secondary is about. It really hurts them. Okuda wasn't playing on a very good level yet, but you expect him to get there, right? So just basic common sense heading into the season. You wanted him to come out at least good and then get very good by the end of the year, and they're not going to have that. They're not going to have that for the remainder of the year, and that puts them in a tricky spot. And I don't mean to pile on because I want the kid to be successful. For the Lions' sake, he needs to be successful. But you just lost your best cornerback. Well, probably your best secondary player. Like, I don't even know if 4 wins is realistic right now. Like, if you really think we're going to show up and shoot out against teams, like, I'm very concerned. Like, this was Jeff Okuda's year to take the next step, to become a very good corner. And then by year 3 or 4, become elite. He just lost the first 2 years of his career, basically. Now, can he recover? Of course he can. But Achilles injuries are the worst. ACL injuries are the worst because it's really up to luck at this point. Robert Griffin III was never able to recover from his ACLs. Adrian Peterson did. Saquon Barkley, is he going to be able to recover from his ACL? We don't know. Okuda, Achilles. Kevin Durant, Achilles. Kobe, Achilles. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Can I ask you something like this? So, obviously, we know this regime, like, they didn't draft Jeff Okuda, obviously. And I think the Jelani Tavai decision was way easier because of that fact. Like, listen, we have no ties to this guy. Get rid of him. What do you think Okuda's timetable is? Like, let's say he comes out next year.
I think mid-October he comes back and he's playing.
But how much time do you think they give him? So they
give him his full rookie contract. Again, he was the number 3 overall pick. Whether he sucks or not, the Lions are not in a position to be just letting him go. You need to give him the full extent of his contract. Look, Jeff Okuda wasn't this polished, perfect plug-and-play corner coming out of college like people perceive him to be. Like, yes, he was a good corner. He's a good prospect. Patrick Surtain has shown in a preseason and the first game of his pro career that he's already a better corner than Jeff Okudah. Who takes a corner at number 3? I don't want to just pile on to that because whether he likes it or not, that's always going to be associated with him. So that's Jeff Okudah in a nutshell. Where you're taken and who takes you is very important for your career. It just so happens that this kid, who maybe turns out to be a good corner, maybe even very good, was taken number 3 overall by one of the worst franchises in the NFL. That's a tough hurdle to get over.
Obviously, he loves that he was selected 3rd overall, but like you said, the fact that he was taken where he was taken, 3rd overall, like that's guys like Denzel Ward, Jalen Ramsey, we're expecting that type of Patrick Surtain at 9 overall, like that type of production right away. And obviously the injuries, number 1, the poor performances, like it stinks because if he was healthy and having these performances, well, he'll get better. Now he's getting injured in between having these bad performances, so it's definitely not, setting him up for success. So it's going to be a harder road for him, and coming back from that Achilles injury is going to be interesting. And best of luck to him.
It's going to be a difficult injury to come back from. Wish him the best, but you have to keep in mind, Jeff Okudah was a very good prospect. We can all agree, very good. But, he's probably the best corner in that draft class, prospect-wise. He did play behind Chase Young and an undefeated Ohio State. I mean, he wasn't playing with scrubs. He wasn't playing in the SEC going against premier talent. He played in the Big Ten. And last I checked, the Big Ten doesn't produce any wide receivers as of late. So I don't know. I don't want to just waste on the guy. He tore his Achilles. He's out for the year. But Lions, you better get this right because you're setting yourself back 3, 4, 5, 6 years if Jeff Okudah doesn't work out. You wasted a number 3 overall pick, and I hate doing the what if. You could have, but you left Justin Herbert on the board. You left Tua Tagovailoa on the board. You left players that just could have came in and done a much better job than what Okudah's doing. So frustrating, very frustrating news. It's not good news for the Lions. It's not good for Okudah. Your first 2 years, you're MIA. He's what now, 24, 25 years old by the time he gets back?
He only played in 10 games.
Not even, yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. He's on bust alert. He's not a bust yet, but he's on track to become a bust. The same way Penei Sewell moving to the right was putting him on track to become a bust.
All right. Well, Mike G in the chat is asking if Lamar Jackson is on bust alert since he fumbled last night. We're going to get into last night's game next. But before we go, I need to know about our friends at Northwestern Tech.
Listen, hopefully Okudah doesn't have to start his career at Northwestern Tech.
He should probably look into getting a new job.
Listen, you can start a new career in an industry that is always essential, the heating and cooling industry. Learn more today by visiting northwesterntech.edu.
Tony is a third-generation logger that has a simple, practical approach to life and work. That's why his Coast DX342 knife is perfect for him. The stainless steel blade is rust-resistant and made for all-weather use. And the double roll-lock safety ensures that it will never inadvertently close when he doesn't want it to. That's why Coast is trusted tough.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Woodward Show on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here. It is Tuesday, 1 day away from Hump Day, which gets us 2 days from Thursday, which gets us 3 days from Friday. Thank you, Fish. We can do it, people. We're almost there, kind of. All right, so let's see. We had Monday Night Football last night. The Raiders beat the Ravens 33-27. Obviously, the Ravens had some of their key players out last night. So, Jeff, what did you make of the game?
Listen, what I made from it is the Las Vegas Raiders always play to their opponent. Whether it's the Ravens, they come out. I think Derek Carr obviously he started the game rough, but he ended it with 435 yards. But early in the game, he threw a couple balls that should have been picked off. One did get picked off, but the Ravens completely shut down the run against the Raiders and made Derek Carr pretty much air it out, and he found success. Guys like Darren Waller, Bryan Edwards, the guy John Gruden said was comparable to T.O. in training camp. And, hey, listen, it's clear the Ravens are going to miss guys like J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, and even on the defensive side of the ball, Marcus Peters, he went out all ACL injuries and Achilles injuries. I think one more player for the Ravens went out. Marlon Humphrey was banged up. The goal was to keep these guys healthy because this defense is the strong suit of the team. That is what Lamar's crutch, if you will. Like they had the run game going for a little bit early on. Lamar Jackson, 19 for 30, 235 and a touchdown. The Ravens played horribly down the stretch. Obviously, Daniel Carlson sunk that 40-yarder with 2 seconds left to send it into overtime. But the Ravens had a chance with Lamar Jackson after the end zone interception that was called back. And then the Raiders had to actually earn it. They got intercepted, and they called it right back. And Lamar went down the field, had that fumble, big fumble, and then the rest is history. I mean, the Ravens were 3 for 12 on third downs. They had 2 fumbles, 1 in overtime. It's just hard to win like that, especially when you lead in the third quarter, 17-10. You want to be able to pound the rock and put them out, but they clawed back. And they were getting after Derek Carr early, and that's kind of how I thought the trend was starting to get set. It was Derek Carr's they're gonna get after him, and by the end of the game, I think each team had the same amount of sacks, so it didn't matter. They both were getting after each other's quarterbacks. It was a great Monday night game. The two teams wanted it just as bad as each other, but this is a tough game for the Ravens to swallow, a tough loss.
It's not, man. This is Lamar Jackson. This is what's so frustrating. This is a guy that's won an MVP. This is a guy that is so dynamic. But for some reason, he can't throw the football when you need him to.
That's what. Yeah.
This guy can move around the pocket, throw a 26, 27-yard rifle to Marquise Brown in the corner of the end zone, touchdown. He can make that play. But he can't throw a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 out to the sideline, to the running back who was wide open. This is Lamar Jackson. They're never going to win anything significant. We talked about quarterbacks that we felt can and can't, and Lamar Jackson we both thought can't, but we didn't put him on our list. It was kind of like borderline. Like, this is why they'll never be successful. What are you supposed to do when your quarterback leads your team in rushing, and Tyson Williams was having a night. It's not like they couldn't run the ball and they were relying on Lamar Jackson. No, Tyson Williams had himself a good night. Yeah. They just continue to force Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, when he throws under 25 times, I believe has only lost 1 time in his career. Anything over, good luck. You're kicking rocks.
Asking too much of him.
You're asking way too much. 19 of 30, you can tell me, Adam, 63% completion percentage. He didn't turn the ball over. Yeah, he didn't turn it over through the air, but he turned it over twice running the ball. That's just as bad. Mark Andrews, great safety option. Marquise Brown looked good last night. Sammy Watkins looked good.
Marlon Humphrey locked down Mark Andrews.
Lamar Jackson just isn't giving you what you need consistently to be able to actually consider yourselves Super Bowl contenders. And the fact that the Ravens opened up and lost to the Raiders isn't my overreaction. My goodness, the Ravens are done. But I will tell you, the Ravens are not going to finish second in this division. They're probably going to finish third, and they'll be lucky to finish third, especially with their running backs out. They're not going to be as dynamic. They're going to have to rely on Lamar Jackson, and that's not how this Baltimore Ravens team is built. They're not built to win on Lamar Jackson's back. If he's dynamic, he gets you a few first downs, he runs for 50, 60, 70, 80 yards. That's cool. That's great. That's not winning football. My quarterback needs to be able to drive me down the field with under a minute, under 2 minutes, and get me a score. They had every opportunity to win that game, and they didn't. Why? Their quarterback couldn't make the key plays in key situations. And that's why Baltimore, in my opinion, will never be able to win with Lamar Jackson.
Oh, so you're coming around.
Yeah, I have to.
Okay.
I have to. I didn't want to say it because I want to give the kid time to develop. Like,
right.
If there's one thing you can develop, it's accuracy. It's arm. Like, you can develop these things. And he's the type of guy that gives me the vibe like he's willing to put in the work. But Lamar, we're in year 4, man, and you're still making the same mistakes. It's tough for me to see. It's tough for me to see, man.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Lamar Jackson, like, obviously we know him as a terrific, entertaining regular season player, MVP. You saw all the highlight tapes on Instagram or whatever you see from SportsCenter. This guy knows how to make highlights. But Does it translate to playoff success and getting to a Super Bowl? We don't know. And Adam made a great point with the under 25 pass attempts, because that tells a story. That tells that you're able to pound the rock, control the ball, and control the clock. And Lamar doesn't have a lot on his shoulders. When you're asking Lamar to sit in the pocket and win you a football game, it's not going to happen.
Joe Burrow in Week 1 did something Lamar Jackson is yet to do: make a big 3rd and long play down the field when it really mattered. I believe it was actually on 4th down, if I remember correctly, against Minnesota. Your quarterback needs to be able to look downfield and make all the throws. And if he can't, I'm sorry, he's not a quarterback. Lamar Jackson's an MVP. Great. So was Cam Newton. Great. What do you want, a cookie? Great. He's dynamic on offense. He can run the ball. He's great for fantasy football. Cool. It's all awesome. You're not winning football games like this. I can stack the box, and your quarterback still can't beat me? Go stack the box against Justin Herbert, against Josh Allen. Go stack the box against Patrick Mahomes. Good luck. Lamar Jackson's limited. He needs to figure it out. Regarding the game, my goodness, how entertaining it was.
Oh, it was entertaining.
I couldn't sleep, and I wanted to sleep, but I couldn't. Waller almost scored, and then Derek Carr throws an interception in the red zone. It was back and forth nonsense. So many mistakes. I'm happy for Derek Carr, though. I'll tell you why. I am one of the few that believe in Derek Carr. I don't think he's elite. Don't get me wrong. But I could pin Baker Mayfield, who everybody thinks, is a pretty good quarterback, deserves to be in the league. I can put him next to, let's say, even a Justin Herbert to an extent, given his short career. And I see the same numbers across the board. Yeah, Baker Mayfield, in his time with Kevin Stefanski, is putting up numbers that Derek Carr has been putting up with John Gruden and an ESPN analyst, Mike Mayock, as their GM. The same guy who's drafted Henry Ruggs over CeeDee Lamb and Jerry Jeudy. This is what Derek Carr has worked with. Now, I'm not saying he's elite, but I'm just saying you have to consider this guy to be at least a mid-tier quarterback. He's definitely above your Kirk Cousins. He's above the Tuas. He's above the guys we mentioned yesterday who can't win a Super Bowl. I don't think he's one that can probably deliver you one. But hey, he can play. He can play, man. He can play. To everybody that thinks he can't, or they don't think he belongs in the league, I just think it's a bit much. I think we're probably comparing him too much to his brother, and that's kind of a burden on him.
Yeah.
But I saw a lot from Derek Carr last night. I've seen a lot from him over the last 2 seasons. The guy has overcome a very bad defense in Las Vegas. John Gruden has not done anything special. They've done him no favors drafting over the years and in free agency. They've missed. Oof. I don't know. I like Derek Carr. I don't think he's elite yet, but I mean, you put the right pieces around him.
Right.
Like, you make the guy drop back 56 times. That sucks. No quarterback wants to do that. Jared Goff, Mahomes, nobody in the league wants to drop back 56 times. And this kid does it and only turns the ball over 1 time. Should have had 3 touchdowns. And what I find even more ironic is this is the same guy that targeted Darren Waller heavily, almost 21 times in the game. He targeted Darren Waller. So you're talking almost half of his attempts.
I'll say his
were towards
misses
Darren
were 20.
Waller.
Yeah, like 20 misses.
And he still had over 300 yards to every other receiver in total. I like Derek Carr. I don't think he's as bad as people make him out to be. I think he's probably on the same level as Goff, to answer Mike's question. I don't think he's awful. I think he's good. I think his situation's really bad, and he's handling it well. To go 8-8 and 7-9 the years prior with that defense, with that offense, Josh Jacobs hasn't turned into anything special. You thought year one, my goodness, this guy's going to be a back for years. No, it's like turf toe, and on and off the field. He's not consistent. He's not a 3-down back. It's very frustrating to watch. Henry Ruggs is his number 1 receiving option. Then you have Darren Waller, who's a tight end, but he's actually the number 1. I think Derek Carr's doing a good job in Vegas, honestly.
Darren Waller's probably the best thing to ever happen to him.
I think it's easy to knock Derek Carr because obviously his brother is such a disaster, but Carr's better, man. Carr's better than a lot of these mid-range, mid-tier quarterbacks. You look at the Tuas, the Kirk Cousins, even the Jared Goff. Like I'm okay to say he's better than Jared Goff. Like I really believe that. Jared Goff has been on the decline. I don't think he's the quarterback he used to be. And he's not going to be it in Detroit, so I'm taking Carr, man. I don't know. I don't get the Carr slander. I really don't. What do you think? Derek Carr, yes, no? Maybe
no,
so?
Listen, Derek Carr, I agree with the point. He's better than a majority of the, Tuas. You know, I believe if you put him in a system like, you got Baker on the Browns. If you put Derek Carr in a system or a team that is completely stacked around him, like a Jared Goff with the Rams the year they made the Super Bowl, I'm sure Derek Carr could produce success. I mean, he's up there in comeback drives, and he knows how to win football games. I mean, you saw it last night. He dropped back for 56 times, and they found a chance to win airing it out, against this Ravens secondary. So I agree with you. I think he's people don't give him enough respect because the Raiders are always laughing
Well, that's
stock.
the thing.
They're underperforming.
Why would the Raiders get respect?
No, they should.
Mike Mayock was named the GM. John Gruden came in and got a 10-year contract. They gave away Khalil Mack, and they've drafted okay.
Try to get him back.
But for every good draft pick the Raiders have had, they've had an even more awful one. You show me their defensive edge rusher Farrell. I can show you Henry Ruggs the third. Like, Derek Carr is working with peanuts, I think, in my opinion. But Kennedy, speaking of the game, I got to tell you about my bookie, because I did win a lot of money last night. I parlayed the Los Angeles Rams to cover, and I had the Raiders winning. So I was a happy guy. My heart was like racing all night because the game didn't make sense. It was a great game to watch, and betting on the game makes it even more fun to watch. Bet from anywhere, anytime. Visit mybookie.com. Use code Woodward today to get 50% deposit matched. You put $100 in, they'll give you $50. You put in $200, they'll give you $100. You guys know the drill. And please, if you have a gambling problem, call the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-522-4700.
Welcome to the Call Sam Chopper Shop, where you can win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time.
Watch as the Bad Pig Custom team turns this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
And when it's finished, we'll be donating the bike to Volunteers of America Michigan to raffle off in support of our vets.
A great cause to give back to those who've given so much.
Watch for Call Sam Chopper Shop episodes on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/Chopper Shop.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning in to the Morning Wood. Happy to have you here on a beautiful Tuesday. All right, so Lions fans are pretty pumped about Sewell after the game on Sunday. They're saying that he even dominated Nick Bosa. And Sewell's the youngest to play this position in NFL history, so that's pretty dang impressive in itself. But neither of these guys played last year. Sewell was out due to COVID things in college. And then Bosa missed 14 games due to an ACL injury. But Jeff, from what you saw on Sunday, who dominated who?
I don't know about dominate. I think definitely Sewell won the matchup. But if you're a Lions fan, you should be licking your lips, knowing you got this man for the future, protecting whoever's behind center, whether it's Jared Goff or a young quarterback in the next couple of years. This guy, the youngest left tackle to start ever at 21 years old. He looked solid. He looked mature. Went against Nick Bosa, who you could argue, yes, he last year suffered that ACL injury. Coming this year, he could be a little slow off his feet. But if you're playing 90 snaps against one of the best young edge rushers in this league, and you give up one sack and dominate in the run game, hats off, because that's impressive. I mean, I don't care. Listen, I don't care to see this man on the right side. Put him at the left. He's so athletically gifted. This guy, he's a humongous human being. And it's crazy to see the production, considering he hasn't played in so long. And he had a bad preseason, obviously starting at the right side. But he hasn't played in his whole junior year. Coming out into this year, goes against probably the most hardest matchup in the next couple games. He's going to have, Justin Houston, his third game. But first game, Nick Bosa, that's a tall task. And he played great. I wouldn't say dominated, but he definitely won that matchup against Nick Bosa. I think Nick Bosa even came up to him after the game and said, listen, man, you got to stay at the left side. He gave him his props. So if you're giving props to some guy, usually you took that L. So I think Sewell won the matchup, but what does that say?
The first half, Sewell was very dominant. The second half, Bosa really started to pick it up. But still, I believe he only allowed 2 quarterback rushes. Penei Sewell should not spend another minute, let alone second, on the right side of the offensive line. We talked about it yesterday, but I have to repeat it. Penei Sewell needs to stay on the left side. I don't give 2 shits about Taylor Decker, his feelings, his contract, even your feelings at home on how you feel about Taylor Decker. I could care less. Penei Sewell needs to be the starting left tackle for the Detroit Lions. Taylor Decker, when he comes back from injury, can go to the right side. He doesn't want to, I'll trade him. I'll trade him for a 7th-round pick if I care. Penei Sewell needs to work out. I don't care. Penei Sewell needs to work out. You saw him on the right-hand side of the ball. He looked awful. He looked god-awful. We were talking, is this kid on bust alert after the 3rd game in the preseason? Because he couldn't stop the 3rd stringers from getting past him. And then, of course, he moves to his natural position. He's comfortable. His technique is more fluid. It's solid. And he stops one of the best edge rushers in the game. What more do you need to see? What more? I'm actually so curious right now. What more do you need to see from Penei Sewell to convince yourself that he needs to stay on the left side for the rest of the season? Do you want to move him next week on the right side just for, shits and giggles? Do you want to do that? And then you can see how he does on the right side. I guarantee you it won't be pretty. Keep him on the left. It's his natural position. What are we doing?
Especially drafting him you drafted him to play left tackle, and you're making him play right. He struggled at that position. And, of course, Taylor Decker goes out with injury. What a better opportunity for the man to slide right back into left tackle. And yes, I agree with you. Trade, it's tough because Taylor Decker is a top 10 left tackle in this league, but it's hard to say this and swallow this. But tell the man if he does not move to right tackle, at least, he said himself in the press conferences in training camp before the season, I'll do whatever it takes for this team to win. Who knows what he meant by that? Will he move to right tackle? Who knows? But bring it up to him. Propose it to him, and if he doesn't like the idea, listen, man, we took this kid 7th overall. He's going to be good, and if you don't want to be a part of it, we trade him for a.
I gotta shut somebody up. Shad in the chat. Trade Decker and open another hole on the O-line? ? Classic line fan mentality. Listen, buddy, if you're trading Taylor Decker, you're probably getting a 2nd, probably even a 1st-round pick to a team that really needs a tackle, especially closer to the trade deadline when you're gonna expect Taylor Decker to be up and ready. So, no, you're going to get assets. And if you trust Brad Holmes as a talent evaluator and a GM, well, ding, ding, ding. Give him 3 first-round picks, 5 in the next 2 years, and you're going to be just fine. You can go address it in free agency if you want to. You getting rid of Decker doesn't change anything. The team will be okay. They will be just fine. They're not competing this year, which means you can afford to get rid of somebody, stack up on draft capital, and make moves in the offseason. You don't need Taylor Decker this year. You're winning 3, 4, 5 football games. Yes, Taylor Decker's on a team-friendly contract. Yes, I'd like to keep him and put him to the right. But if he's unwilling to go to the right side of the offensive line, or if I just get an offer I can't refuse, he's gone. I didn't draft Penei Sewell so I can hug Taylor Decker and tell him everything's going to be okay, buddy. You're going to play with us forever. No, I took one of the best prospects in a long time at left tackle. I plan on seeing him flourish and reach his full potential, which means that's going to come at your expense, buddy, unless you want to go to the right side. And if I get a 1st-round pick offer, I'm trading you. It's that simple. Welcome to the NFL. Welcome to the NFL. So, I'm sorry. Penei Sewell's got to stay on the left-hand side. I don't know how more clear I can be, Jeff.
And I see a comment, my man Funky, he said they drafted Penei Sewell to play the right tackle position, and I don't see that.
Well, then they're dumb.
I don't see that, because if you're drafting a guy who's a natural left tackle, you're setting him up for failure. And we saw it in the preseason. We had a topic: is he on bust alert? Which is premature, but you got to have the conversation. He played horrendous in the preseason. And look at him, game 1, moves back to left tackle and explodes at left tackle. Ding, ding, ding. That's his natural position. Leave the man there.
Look, we gave him 3 opportunities in the preseason, right? You gave him 3 opportunities. He got progressively worse game to game. He didn't get better. He got worse every single game playing right tackle. He shows up week 1 against a very good defensive line in San Francisco. And he has not just the best game of his career, which is very short, but he stops one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. for about 60 minutes. That's pretty impressive.
Extremely.
Taylor Decker played right tackle, I believe, in college, but it was very limited. I don't see how this is even that bad of a conversation. Guys, you move Sewell to the left. He's comfortable. He can develop at a much greater rate if he's on the left side than he is on the right. Why bring back Decker, who's a veteran, and have him? He understands the game more. You can put him to the right-hand side, and everything will be okay. And you can solidify the right-hand side, but open your mind up a little bit to the trade possibility. If you get a first-round pick, you're trading Taylor Decker. He's on a team-friendly contract, which makes him more appealing to a team that would need a left tackle. You got to consider it. I think you make the move if it's offered. But if there's nothing really tangible out there in the market, you put Taylor Decker to the right-hand side. I couldn't be more serious about this. Penei Sewell needs to stay on the left. He showed you everything you wanted and more. You got way more than you expected week 1 out of him. Nobody expected that week 1. And if that's what you got, you need to let him just keep growing. Let him keep growing on the left side. Let him get comfortable. And you may have yourself a very good left tackle for the next 10 to 12 years if you do this right. But you should not be tied to the hip with Taylor Decker. He's not the future of the Detroit Lions. The future is a quarterback that's in the next 2 drafts. The future are the skill position players you've yet to acquire. The future is more edge rushers, linebackers, secondary pieces, not Taylor Decker. Your offensive line is already good. You can go address the right tackle position in free agency or even in the draft. There's nothing really complicated about this. It's only as complicated as you want to make it. And if you don't want to make it complicated, keep Penei Sewell on the left-hand side. Let him continue to mature. Let him continue to get reps. Let him develop. He showed you in 1 game what he can do on the left. He showed you nothing on the right in 3 games. Nothing. Nothing where you can watch the film and be like, well, good technique. Wow, you really came off the line really quickly there.
Right.
Nothing. Nothing. You got nothing in 3 preseason games. God knows what they were looking at in camp. And I made the same comparison with Justin Herbert. It took Taylor Decker getting hurt for you to move Penei Sewell to the left, saying that? Because you've seen that all preseason, all training camp, in practice. You've seen it. And you didn't move him to the left? You saw how bad he was on the right. You still didn't move him to the left. It took Tyrod Taylor getting shanked for Justin Herbert to become the starting quarterback. Are you kidding me? You got to save yourselves from... You got to save yourself from yourself sometimes, guys. You really do. Don't be your own enemy. Especially when it comes to young rookies. Don't do it. Don't do it, Jeff.
Some things just happen for a reason, I think. You got the Tyrod Taylor, you got the Taylor Decker. Now we got to see the imagine if Taylor Decker played and Sewell just stuck at that right side for 3 games, 4 games. What do you think people would be reacting to right now? Will we still be having this bust alert conversation? I don't know. But what I do know is the game we saw out of the man at left tackle was exceptional. Obviously, there's a couple mistakes, but it is what it is. It's the kid's #1 game in the NFL, his very first game against a very talented defensive line. So, you know, we got more than what we expected in a good way. And hopefully he just blossoms and turns in the next year or 2 one of the best left tackles in the league, top 10, if not top 5.
Yeah, I'm more than okay with it. You know, again, I still think you consider it. Do you have to trade Taylor Decker this year? No, you don't. You're not winning anything, so there's no rush. But I would consider it. If there's a first-round pick floating off, you really got to consider it. Because if you're really confident, which I think we all are right now, with Penei Sewell on the left-hand side, and for any reason Decker isn't comfortable going to the right or he's not willing to, you got to move him. But if Decker just comes in and plays right tackle and plugs, that's great. That's a good thing. He's on a team-friendly deal. He's not costing you an arm and a leg, and you know, it's good. I think Decker could be, you know, one of the top right tackles in the game if he committed to it. He's a good lineman. This isn't really anything against him. It's just you don't take a lineman 7 overall, change his position, and basically risk his future because, oh, you know what, we have 2 left tackles. This kid is so athletic. I bet he can go to the right. Oh, it didn't work. Wow, it took an injury for us to realize and correct our mistake. I can just already see the incompetency. It's the same thing, whether you want to admit it or not. The Lions got to move away from this. They got to move away from it.
All right, well, coming up, we're going to be moving on to some college football and the AP poll top 25. But before we do this, I want to know about those awesome knives that everyone in the office carries around from our friends at Coast.
Yes, since 1919, Coast has pursued only one mission, and it's to make the working professional's job safer and life easier. Today, Coast lights are a favorite amongst tradesmen and women, outdoor enthusiasts, do-it-yourselfers, first responders, and more. Visit coastportland.com and use code WSN20 for 20% off your purchase, because they stand by their products, and they back them up with a lifetime warranty. Because if you're buying for your whole crew, you should sign up with our Coast crew to take advantage of special discounts, early access to new products, and more. Again, that code is WSN20 for 20% off.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. And at Hall Financial, we treat our clients like family. And our number one priority is giving each of our clients 5-star service. Our passion for 5-star service, combined with our expertise, allows us to find the best possible solution for refinancing your home loan. We take the time to focus on both the individual and the numbers. We're going to walk you through the process and close your loan in half the time of our competition. Go to davidhallmortgage.com today.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood. Happy to have you here. It's beautiful outside. It's Tuesday. How many days does that make us away from Friday?
It doesn't matter. Enjoy
3.
today. Shut up.
I like to do it just to make you mad. All right. Well, the AP poll came out with their Week 3 top 25. And to me, it's honestly so confusing. But I want to hear from you guys. Are you happy with the order of the top 25? And if you could reorder it, where would the teams fall? Are any of the teams falling off? Who are you adding? I want to know. So let's start with Adam.
Okay, let's address the elephant in the room, right?
Okay.
So Michigan State came out, big win against Northwestern, although Northwestern was unranked. Good win. Then they play Youngstown State. Expected to win. They blow them out good. Everything's great. Same with Michigan. They were expected to beat Western Michigan, and then they beat Washington, who we now believe is probably a very bad team, considering they lost to Montana the week prior, and then they lose 31-10 to Michigan. But you guys have to keep in mind, before the season even started, be very careful here. Michigan received 34 votes to be in the top 25. 34. So they already had a 34-vote lead and a head start on Michigan State, who probably never received anything. Michigan won against Western. They looked good. Okay, I believe they moved up to 112 or 113 at the time. And then they beat Washington, and that gets them into 25. This is what comes with the brand of Michigan. We've seen Michigan State overwhelmingly but they were better than Michigan so many times, and they were ranked lower in the polls, or they were underdogs going into the game. Yet, I believe I saw some crazy stat where during D'Antonio's reign, he had 5 11-win seasons, and that was more than the last 100 years of Michigan football. Look, this is what comes when you have a brand. When you have a brand, things are expected of you. We said it was a good thing for Michigan to walk into the year with no expectations. Or none, but, it was low. Very low expectations. They weren't ranked for the first time since Harbaugh took over. I thought it was a good thing for them. They're 2-0 right now. State's 2-0. I think it's a false 2-0 for both teams. I don't think it's anything impressive. But if I have to take away something, I think Michigan State's offense is more dynamic than it was last season. And I got to say, Michigan's defense is much better than it was last year. You can tell me it was Western and Washington, but that defensive line pops off the screen. It just does. So regarding Michigan and Michigan State, it didn't surprise me. I wouldn't change it. Michigan at 25, that's fine. You want to leave them unranked for one more week? That is fine. I don't care. I think where I have the biggest problem is Notre Dame being at 12. Notre Dame should not be at 12. They've played 2 horrendous football games. They've
barely
snuck out. They were so fortunate to win, and you can see on the screen right now, they're 12. Now, I'll tell you what, UCLA is a better football team. Iowa State's a better football team with a loss. Virginia Tech, probably a better football team. And, I put them around 16, maybe 17. Depends how nice I want to be. But they should not be number 12. I said it before the season started. Ohio State was going to lose 1 or 2 games for sure. Notre Dame and Ohio State, I said yesterday, will not make the college football playoff. That was my overreaction Monday. This is not a college football playoff team. They shouldn't be at 12. I don't care if they're 2-0. It's embarrassing. And honestly, Ohio State should be out of the top 10 as well. They shouldn't be number 9. I'd move Ohio State to 10 or 11, and I'd have Florida and Penn State over them. That's simple. Ohio State didn't look very good in their first game, which was supposed to be a cakewalk. And then in their second game against Oregon, they lost. And now you have Oregon at 4, Iowa at 5. I appreciate that from the polls. That's good. I want to see that. Teams that make statement wins deserve to be higher in the polls. Bama at 1, I don't think it's a question. Georgia at 2, I like it. Alex, if you could put the standings back up, I believe Oklahoma is 3. That's fine. Although they've been in some dodgy games. I don't like Clemson at 6. But I'll tell you why. I think they need to be higher. Regardless of their Georgia loss, I think Clemson should be 5. Iowa should be 6. And again, Clemson's defense showed up against Georgia. They lost a 10-3 football game. Right. It's not like they got blown out. So the fact that they have them at 6, I don't think is terrible. Texas A&M, you could argue maybe should be above them as well. But, I don't have too much to say outside of Ohio State being further down, Notre Dame being further down. And if you want to complain about Michigan State and Michigan, and this whole, they're ranked and they're not ranked, it's because of the brand battle. Like, that's fine. You can do that. I don't have time for it. It's 2 games into the year. The fact that they're ranked 25th is meaningless. Michigan and Michigan State both still have to play good teams. They still have to play the teams that are in the Big Ten. So, Jeff, I don't have too much of a problem with it. Ohio State and Notre Dame for me are the biggest flaws in the polls.
That's what stuck out to me immediately because you got a Penn State team who won over a ranked Wisconsin team week 1, and then now they come out and blow out. I know it's Ball State; it's not a very talented team, but Ohio State barely snuck out against Minnesota, unranked football team, and now they lost to Oregon. So that obviously explains Oregon being so high up there. But I agree. I think Penn State, they should swap, have them at Ohio should be in the double digits, maybe 10. Put Penn State at 9 or 8. I like that. Clemson over behind Iowa, a little questionable, like you said. Even though Clemson did lose that tough game versus the number 2 ranked team here in Georgia, but they should definitely be higher to me. Notre Dame, a little fraudulent. You could smell the fraudulent in there a little bit. Like they're 2-0, but there's going to be a time where they face, and they're not going to be able to slip away. They're not going to be able to steal an overtime game or win off a last-second touchdown. It's going to come down to these tough schedules, and this will update throughout the season. Obviously, I'm not too worried about it. But just first reaction at it, I'm fine with Michigan being 25th. Obviously, as the season goes on, as they're beating tougher opponents, we're going to see them slide up because the Miami Florida's holding on. I mean, there's other teams in there that are holding on. But, yeah, Michigan State, I thought it was interesting. I talked to Easy about it. He was frustrated that Michigan was in instead of Michigan State, but you just explained it perfectly. Like, it's what happened previously, and it's the Michigan brand. Like, they were expected to do good this year. Michigan State, not so much, and they're turning a lot of heads this year, but hence why Michigan's in this top 25. And they're going to rise, I think, and they might even be somewhere in the 15s or anywhere else in the next couple weeks. They're going to continue to win. I think them and Michigan State, I agree with you on that point, that they might be both 5-0, and I want to see where they rank. Once they're 5-0, we can look back at this list and have a different conversation, but not too many problems with the list. It's really just the Notre Dame. Penn State could be higher. Clemson maybe a little higher. But no, as far as the first 3 or 4 go, it makes perfect sense. I mean, Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, I want to see them face a better team. Spencer Rattler looked a little rattled in the first game they played, but he played magnificent in the second game. So I want to see them, see if they slide down. But yeah, Oregon 4th, Iowa 5th, should be 6th, Clemson 5. But no problem with the top 10. I mean, I'm going to be honest. Just a couple moves I would do, but it is what it is. This is what it is. If you got a brand like Ohio State, you're 9. You're above Penn State. But no, I think Penn State should be above Ohio State.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Again,
that's really the big one that stands out immediately.
Really? That's the main one for you? Ohio State?
Well, Penn State should be above, maybe even Cincinnati. Like they should be higher. I think Penn State to me. They versed 2 ranked opponents so far. Like they've had tougher games. I don't know. I don't
like Oklahoma at 3. Honestly, they haven't performed well either. Like, I feel bad for Oklahoma.
A little overrated.
Like the whole SEC move, I'm very concerned for their program. Like they're probably going to keep up the talent, but they're not going to be winning. Like Oklahoma is one of the best jobs in football. You're winning the Big 12 every year. You're always going to be in the college football playoff talk. and you're probably running a very dynamic offense. Like, the fact that they're gonna stay at number 3 and now they're gonna move to the SEC in a few years.
What about Texas? They're not even on this list.
Oh, Texas is done.
Yeah.
Texas is done.
Not even on the list.
Hook'em horns will be just hook'em.
Yep.
They'll just be hook'em. They're done.
Yeah.
They are done. Michigan's defense, man, I'm really impressed with it. It's been very good. If you remember the early days of Harbaugh, and he's only been there for 6 years, but still, their defense was legit the first 2-3 seasons. And that's why they were pulled 2nd, 3rd in the nation during that time. They had an amazing defense. What happened? They only showed up once during that time, those 2-3 years, against Ohio State and barely lost. And then they just got killed. And Don Brown, why he didn't get fired sooner, I don't know. But Mac McDonald, I like the job he's doing so far. We'll see how they play against the good teams, better athletes. But I'm excited for both Michigan and Michigan State. I think they're both trending in the right direction. We discussed Mel Tucker, a good season, 6 wins. It's 33% of the way there. Like, I like what Mel Tucker's doing. I like what Jim Harbaugh is doing this year. I like what Mac McDonald is doing. I like the talent we're seeing from both schools. This is a very good thing for the entire state of Michigan, not if you're just a Michigan or Michigan State fan. I think it's really good.
And it's building the anticipation, too, for that Halloween game.
It is building anticipation for that game. It's a big game. Again, I'm curious to see if both teams do what I predicted, or if it's a bold prediction, but I think they both start 5-0. I don't see a way they lose their first 5 games outside of Michigan. Michigan's got to play Wisconsin.
At Wisconsin, yeah.
They got to go away to Wisconsin. That's a big game for Jim Harbaugh. He needs to win that game. He needs to. That is a statement of intent. Mm-hmm. You win that game, it's like, all right, we can go on the road and we can win these games. We can go later on and beat Penn State. We can go later on and beat Michigan State. We can finally beat Ohio State. That's the message you're trying to send to your team. Forget the fans for a moment. You're trying to make your team believe that they can do it. And Mel Tucker's got the belief system going up in East Lansing. And I think Jim Harbaugh, given the situation, I think they're onto something. I don't think it's a Big Ten title this year, but I think it's a step in the right direction considering the last 2 seasons for Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan program. Kennedy, how do you feel about the top 25? I know it hurts your heart.
Listen, it kills me because the amount of Notre Dame and OSU slander in the chat is hurtful to me. But one person did say that they think Notre Dame would still beat Michigan, so I'm here for that.
Oh, no.
But, I mean, both my teams have things they need to figure out. I mean, Notre Dame is rolling with the 2-quarterback system right now. Like, when I was at the game, I couldn't even keep up with who was in. It was a lot, but, you know, we almost lost to Toledo. It was the ugliest thing I've ever seen. I was, like, straight panicking in the stands, but it's fine. OSU lost. It's fine. Ryan Day, still has to prove himself, so, I mean, I'm not sold on that. Obviously, I was a big Urban Meyer girl, so, I mean, I will just have to wait and see. But next, we're going to talk about Tyrell Williams, but first, Adam wants to tell you guys something.
Well, I got to tell you something.
Oh, no.
And I think I'm going to hurt your feelings.
No, then don't do it.
All right, so I made a bet over the weekend, and I had both Notre Dame and Ohio State losing.
You had Notre Dame losing.
And I cashed out.
He's the fortune teller.
I cashed out early when Notre Dame was I believe they were down, what was it, like 7 or 3? It was one of the 2.
3, probably.
They were down 3, and I cashed out early on it because Ohio State had already lost, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm in the clear.
Literally, there was 2 minutes of the game left. We're down by 3, and I look at my cousin and I go, we're about to lose to Toledo.
I don't even know how you would have shown up to work on Monday if they would have lost.
I straight up wouldn't have. I had to go back to Toledo before I came here to stop at my mom's house. I was like, I can't show my face in Toledo. It was horrible. And my reporter friend was on the field,
Notre Dame,
and I was like, I can't.
Notre Dame's biggest problem, as prestigious of a school as they are, and they are a Catholic school, right?
Yes.
So that's great. It's a really great foundation program. But if you're talking from a football standpoint, they got to commit to one of these conferences.
Yeah.
And they're running out of options. It's probably going to be the Big Ten, but they're running out of options.
Snap! At this point, it better be the MAC.
Well, they're going to lose a lot of talent now. Oklahoma is going to take basically the entire southwest of the country and move it into the SEC. And then Texas is going to take all of Texas and move it to the SEC. Like, the recruiting landscape is going to change with these teams moving. I think if you put yourself in the Big Ten, especially not on the Ohio State side, if you're able to get onto the other side, Like, that's a good position to be in. You'll play the Iowas. You'll play the Nebraskas, I believe, or Wisconsins. Like, Notre Dame needs to consider that move because they need to be playing in title games.
Yeah.
Not just a college football team because they beat a bunch of scrubs and 2 good teams throughout the year.
Yeah.
That's just the
know.
truth.
And I don't think I vibe with the 2-quarterback system. I really don't. But I see why they have to do it right now. But I don't like it. But anyway.
Hey, I know what would boost Notre Dame's football abilities.
There you go.
Don't you say it.
Some Greek pizza from Papa Romano's. Because listen, you should go Greek with Papa Romano's because for a limited time only, Papa Romano's is introducing their new Greek pizza. It's a classic blend of bold Greek flavors and tasty Mediterranean toppings with tomatoes, olives, onions, feta cheese, and more. Get a large Greek pizza for only $16.99. Opa!
Okay, you thirsty little spin goblins. I want you to pedal into the next dimension. Spin it! Spin! Spin! Uh-oh! Carmen's falling behind. Let's give her the hiss of shame. Spin! Spin! Spin till you bleed!
Don't ride the bike of shame. Come to Planet Fitness and find your own lane with tons of equipment, free fitness training, and no hissing. Join today for just $10 a month.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here. All right, so Tyrell Williams is suffering a brain injury due to the 49ers safety smoking him in the head on Sunday. I mean, this is bad. Come our game on Monday, no Decker, no Okuda, and probably no Williams. So, say he's not playing Monday. Jeff, what does this mean for our wide receiver corps?
Well, considering when Tyrell Williams did play, he only had 2 catches for 14 yards before leaving early with an injury, concussion protocol. But listen, in which the Lions were somewhat able to move the ball downfield after that. And it honestly may be a blessing in disguise because a lot more of the unproven guys do things we haven't seen and get many touches, like guys like Quintez Cephas, Amon-Ra St. Brown. We saw action towards the end of the game, but this is a good opportunity for those guys to get more action, get out there and be able for us to see and get some film on them. You got Trinity Benson, who we just acquired. It's the TJ Hawkinson's workload's going to increase even more. But it's like denting an already beat-up car or beating a dead horse. It's the wide receiver corp is already widely considered bottom of the league. So Tyrell Williams getting injured does not necessarily hurt them dramatically, but it does let the more unproven guys come out and see what they have to offer. So this team's going to want to pound the ball inside and check down to the running backs. That's who Jared Goff favors. I mean, I'm sure everyone's seen the graphic on Twitter of all his completions, and they were all mostly to running backs or 5-10-yard passes. And I don't think that's going to – Tyrell's a deep threat, and that's what we didn't really necessarily use him in game one for, but I'm excited. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Trinity Benson, those guys – Quintez Cephas made some plays. I'm excited to see him get more targets, but it's really about the 2 guys in the backfield. I mean, Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift. I'm not too worried. I don't think this Tyrell Williams thing will make or break this team. If anything, it might be a blessing in disguise. This might be a Taylor Decker situation where someone comes in and performs extremely well. So we'll wait and see. It's going to be against a Packers team who gave up 38 to the Saints. So if you're going to want to test these guys, it's going to be this week. Let Amon-Ra St. Brown get targeted. Quintez Cephas.
I mean, okay, so Kennedy, the original question is, what does it mean for the wide receiving unit? It doesn't change much. It's one of the worst wide receiving units in the NFL. This isn't to bash them or knock them down or anything really. It's just reality. And now you lose actually your best receiver. It doesn't make it any better. They're just going to have to continue to rely heavily on DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, and TJ Hawkinson. And that's just the truth. St. Brown isn't going to get 7, 8, 9 targets a game. Cephas isn't going to get 7, 8, 9 targets a game. It's very unlikely. The Lions need to be very creative in how they're going to distribute the ball through the air. They need to be able to control the clock against Green Bay if they want to win that game. Now, you can tell me, they controlled the clock against San Francisco. They didn't win. Well, I mean, they were down 38-10. Of course they were going to have the clock for the rest of the game. The Niners were 3-0 for the entire second half. They were just on pilot mode. But regardless, Aaron Rodgers flustered week 1. I think it's a tricky situation for both teams, right? So the Lions are coming off a lot of like positive vibes. Like, you know what? You know, we were down and out, but we didn't quit, and we got it. We made it really close, closer than anybody ever thought it would be. Let's just take that into week 2. And then you look at the Packers, and it's like, well, we were just dejected on the sideline. We could care less. We lost 38-3. Like, we didn't have any fight. Our quarterback was on the sideline basically crying like a little girl. So both teams are in a very tricky situation. Which team can't afford to start 0-2? Obviously, it's the Green Bay Packers. They're home in Lambeau. It's a very difficult game to win. It's a difficult game to win.
Oh,
but the wide receiving unit Anthony Lynn needs to start using them in a decoy fashion. Put them in motion. Start just running end arounds. Like, whatever it requires for you to just keep the defense on their toes, you need to find a way to do it. Because if you do rely, like we expect you to do, on DeAndre Swift, on Jamal Williams, on TJ Hawkinson, you're putting Jared Goff in a tough spot. He's got to make the sideline throws. He's got to make the comeback routes. He's got to hit the seam routes. He's got to hit the dig routes. And if he's not doing that, you become predictable. And what happens when you become predictable? They catch on your cadence, and you're probably going to commit a few turnovers. And that's something you want to prevent Jared Goff from doing. So Tyrell Williams out is a problem. I think Anthony Lynn's got a lot to work on this week.
Mm-hmm.
Gadget plays, motion plays.
Like Cleve Learman.
You got to be creative.
Yeah.
Find a way to get Hawkinson on motion on the play action maybe. Just a bunch of misdirection. Make the defense have to think every time you drop back. Don't just send out 3 wide receiver set and go into shotgun and hike the ball. You're putting Goff in a bad situation. Become unpredictable. Set guys in motion. Put Swift in the slot occasionally. Put Williams in the slot with Swift in the backfield. Maybe then motion him out. Run a screenplay. I'm not trying to like... I just think they need to be more creative. I'm not going to tell them what to do, but I just think a good suggestion would be you need to get more creative, especially with Tyrell Williams out of the lineup. It's that simple. So I think it hurts the team. I think it hurts the team pretty badly. I think it doesn't matter long term because we didn't expect, or at least I didn't expect this team to be very good this year anyways. So there's your hole, guys. You can find receivers in the 2nd and 3rd round. Ideally, St. Brown does blossom and become a good option, but the way the offense is ran now, it's heavily dependent on Jamal Williams, on DeAndre Swift, on TJ Hawkinson. And that theoretically should open up the field for a St. Brown, for a Cephas. And if it doesn't, I'm going to have a lot more question marks going into week 3 than I did in week 2. So we'll see. We'll have to wait and see how they play, but I think your best bet is to get these guys in motion, gadget plays. Now, I'm not saying to trick the team, trick the defense every play, but make them think, make them work for it. Send Hawkinson in motion on a run play. Don't just line him up at the end. Like, are they really going to send him in motion? Oh, is this going to be play action? Because if Hawkinson is in motion on a play action and you give it off to the back, you're really like deceiving the team, because if Hawk's in motion as a linebacker, I'm like, if he's in motion and they're running this way, I'm going to Hawkinson. I'm not leaving him in the flat open. So then you move the whole defense shifts this way. Like, I think they need to be much more creative in how they use their star players to maybe free up the run game, maybe free up the wide receivers, because this is difficult. It's a tough loss. It's a tough loss.
Do you think this hurts TJ Hawkinson? Because obviously teams already know he's the focus of this offense. People had somewhat faith in Tyrell Williams. Didn't display much, but they obviously put a lot of attention on Tyrell Williams. He's out. Do you think this only makes TJ Hawkinson's job harder, more difficult? Because besides him, teams were like, throw it. Throw it to Amon-Ra St. Brown. We don't know. We don't have any film on any of these guys. We know, number one, you got a top 4 tight end on the offensive side of the ball. So do you think this hurts the man this year? Or maybe it'll help him. I don't know. He's going to be more focused on this. I don't know how is Tyrell Williams out one game?
Yeah, we'll rephrase the question.
I said with Tyrell Williams out this game, how do you think that affects TJ Hawkinson?
I don't think it affects him much.
Because you don't think guys, at least in game 1.
He was the primary focus week 1 against San Francisco. And they did an okay job. He got a touchdown early.
Right.
But they did an okay job. It's hard to stop the great players from being great. So if you can limit them, and I don't want to say they limited Hawk. I believe he had 92 yards and a touchdown, but he didn't bust you open for 130, 150, and 2 touchdowns. So you kind of did your job there. and none of the receivers did anything. I believe the wide receiving core unit, 6 catches, 48 yards.
Oh, it was horrible.
It all came from the running back. So I think the pressure isn't. The pressure's not on. It's not going to be on Hawkinson or the running backs. It's going to be on the receivers. Can you help us? Because if you can't, we're going to lose a lot more football games than even I thought this year. So to answer your question, I don't think Tyrell Williams is going to hurt the team significantly because they were already bad. The wide receiving unit wasn't already that good. So with him out, it's just you got to be more creative now. And you hope that in that time period, Cephas and Amon-Ra St. Brown step up and actually show something. The hype all preseason. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's looking good in camp. He's fighting the corners. He's creating so much separation. Great. In preseason, 2 catches, 13 yards. 2 catches, 11 yards. 3 catches, 15 yards. Week 1, 2 catches, 20, not even 20 yards. I believe 12 yards. Come on. He's got to show up. He's got to play. You got to play. When you're a rookie and you have an opportunity to get 7, 8, 9, 10 targets a game, you're in a fortunate position and in a position to prove your value. He's got to prove it. So Tyrell Williams could be a blessing in disguise. We'll see.
All right. Well, lots of conversation in the chat about Stafford and the Rams. So you guys will like this next conversation. We will be ranking the NFC West. So stick around for that. But since we're on the topic of football, Adam, what do we do around here on Fridays?
Well, we hype up high school football on Fridays. And this week's Friday night clash is going to be between Chippewa Valley, who are 3-0, versus Macomb, Dakota, who are 1-2. Good matchup away for Chippewa Valley. They are ranked, I believe, the #1 team in the state.
Oh, they're good, yeah.
They're solid. They're looking good. We'll be streaming live on Friday on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Come out, have some fun, and at halftime we're giving away $10,000. You kick it through the uprights, you're getting $10,000. It's pretty simple. Now, you may not be Matt Prater, but for that one moment, all you need to be is Matt Prater, and you win $10,000. It's a great bet. It's a great bet. Every Friday we broadcast one of the best high school games of the week, and it just so happens that this is the one this week. In partnership with the Prep and Planet Fitness, we'll be down there Fridays all throughout the high school football season, so we hope you can join us.
I'm looking to bring on another HVAC tech right now.
We are recruiting 5 to 10 techs a month.
We're looking to grow and expand. Every new tech we hire is from Northwestern Tech.
The hands-on training is fantastic.
They're always my first call.
We love hiring Northwestern Tech grads.
They come out trained and ready to work.
Our program is only 10.5 months, and our next classes are starting soon. So why wait?
I'm looking to hire
a graduate
of Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech.
Northwestern Tech. Northwestern Tech.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning in to Woodward Sports, featured on the Roar 93.5 FM, 99.1 FM, and 94.7 HD2. All right, so unlike the NFC North, the NFC West won all of their first games of the season, which is going to make this next job a little bit tough. But Jeff, or no, let's start with Adam. Go ahead and rank the NFC West for me.
All right. So this was hard, actually.
It was hard.
So obviously all the teams won their first games. And we all think every team in that division is capable of making the playoffs. San Francisco's capable. Arizona's capable. Los Angeles is obviously capable. And, of course, Seattle with Russell Wilson. It's a very difficult list to judge, but...
The fourth team isn't horrible.
The fourth team isn't horrible. Let's start there.
Okay.
But here's where I'm going to start. Los Angeles Rams won. Jeff, do you disagree?
I agree. I thought you'd call me crazy for that. But you know what? I got them. They have the two best defensive players.
They've got the best defense. They've got the best edge rusher or just defensive lineman. Let's not call him. He does line up on the edge sometimes. But still, they have Aaron Donald. They have Jalen Ramsey. The best corner, the best defensive lineman. That kind of helps. And then, of course, Cooper Kupp healthy. If Cooper Kupp stays healthy, this is a Super Bowl team. It's not even a question. Forget Matthew Stafford for a minute. Just look how dynamic their offense became when Cooper Kupp was in the lineup. Good luck. Good luck to teams trying to stop him. But I have them at 1. Jeff, who's your number 2?
Arizona Cardinals. I think, listen, this is why I say this. I think Kyler Murray, the only question I have with Kyler Murray is can he stay healthy? Just because of his play style, late in the season, he starts getting a little banged up. But other than that, you can't deny the man's team is unbelievably stacked. You can go from the pass rushers. You got J.J. Watt. Chandler Jones, who just had 5 sacks. Budda Baker. They got loaded corners. And now you go to the offensive line. They just finally figured out their offensive line. Rodney Hudson. They got other guys on that offensive line. They got a backfield, wide receiver core. And then they got Kyler Murray behind center. So I think on paper, I'd put them over Seattle. Yes, Russ is Russ, and he does crazy great things, especially late in the game. But if I'm just talking about right now, ranking them, they absolutely dismantled the Tennessee Titans. So
this is where we're going to disagree. Although I think no team had a more impressive performance in Week 1 than Arizona. But Russell Wilson, I know what I'm getting. I don't know what I'm getting from Kyler. He hasn't put together a full season of, man, he's elite. He's shown me flashes.
But he doesn't have to do it all.
He doesn't have to do it all. But he needs to do something this year. And Week 1 was a great start for him. So proud of him. So happy for him. But I got to keep Seattle at 2. They beat a fundamentally strong football team in Indianapolis. Their defense looked good. They stifled the passing game for Indy. I like Seattle. I got to keep them at 2, more so on respect, although I think Arizona is right there. And that leads me to my third team, which is not who you think it is. It is Arizona. It's not San Francisco. Although I believe in San Francisco a ton, Arizona is my third team, and I believe this is where you have Seattle.
Yeah, yep. So we just swapped them.
Okay, so the thing with the NFC West is it's going to be won by the teams that go away and win in the division.
Right.
The team that goes to San Francisco, Seattle, Arizona, or Los Angeles and wins is the team likely to win the division. And the team likely to win the division maybe only goes 4-2, maybe even 3-3. Maybe all the teams just split. We don't know. It's a tough division. It's tough to call. But these are all 4 teams that if you told me at the end of the season, Adam, one of these 4 teams made it to the Super Bowl, one of them, I would be like, yeah, I can see that. I can see San Francisco making another run. Mm-hmm. I can see Seattle with Russell Wilson. I can definitely see Los Angeles in that roster. And I can definitely see Arizona making a run for it, given their defense is much improved, Kyler Murray is much improved, and they're just so dynamic. Cliff Kingsbury really is doing a good job there. I'm very happy for him because he did have a rough
finally
start.
Clicking. Yeah.
And you want to talk about believing in yourself? They took Josh Rosen, and the moment they weren't confident and they got the number 1 pick, goodbye, buddy. We're going Kyler Murray. It was a great decision.
Great.
So you could tell me you could tell me that 2 teams from this division are going to be in the NFC Championship game, and I would believe you. It's the best division in football. I mean, it's so unpredictable. It's going to be an unpredictable division, and I think if you were putting your bets on a team from the NFC West to make the Super Bowl, I think you'd have a good chance of winning that bet.
I think we probably can mutually agree to this. 49ers, obviously, they're a stacked football team, but you'd agree that they're 4th because of their quarterback situation.
They're 4th because their quarterback situation, but roster-wise, I could make the argument that San Francisco has the 2nd best roster in the NFC West. It's just the quarterback situation is the problem. Mm-hmm. Jimmy G looked good against Detroit. That's not saying much. You look good against Detroit, Jimmy, and I called it too. I said he's got to come out and play great because he needs it for his confidence. Because the Jimmy Garoppolo we saw in preseason was awful. So I'm glad we got to see, a Jimmy Garoppolo that you're accustomed to seeing when healthy. Somebody who could throw the ball downfield, make the third down conversions. That was really great. But I still have concerns. Trey Lance is the future of that football team. I think this is their window this year, or maybe even next year. But it's such a stacked division. It's tough to call. I think the problem I have with Seattle, which is why I had them. Second overall, but I think roster-wise they're probably 3rd or 4th. And the problem I have with Seattle is they're too Russell dependent. Mm-hmm. If Russell has a bad day, they're not winning the game. If he has a good day, they might not win the game. He needs to be very good to great every single time. And he has Tyler Lockett. He has DK Metcalf. But they got to stop relying on Russell Wilson so much. It's overwhelming. Good signs Week 1. Their defense finally played well. They had a good pass rush. I liked it. Good. And then, of course, this is a Detroit sports network, so I'm sure everybody hates on the Rams right now. But let me remind you of how the Rams got to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff. The best offensive line in the NFL. Top 3 running back in Todd Gurley, who was in his prime at the time. Jared Goff was actually considered an elite quarterback at the time because he was playing out of his mind. Not like a bum the last 3 years. And it also helps that they had a very good defense. Aaron Donald
20
had
sacks.
20 and a half sacks that year. They weren't a top defense rated overall, but their defense was a problem. They could get to the quarterback. They had to keep Talib. Now they have Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald. The offensive line is just as good, if not maybe slightly worse, but that's not saying much. There's still a very good offensive line in LA. The run game questionable, but we have Sean McVay. You're going to figure it out. And now you have Matthew Stafford, who's a better quarterback than Jared Goff. The Rams are serious. If they can just stay healthy, they're going to be contending for an NFC championship.
I need you to respond to people just saying the whole, well, Matthew Stafford's 8-65.
I agree.
Against winning teams.
But you can't use that against him right now. And I'll tell you why.
I agree.
And I'll tell you why. I don't want to hear anybody judging Matthew Stafford this season until the postseason is over with. Because I need to see Stafford play still with this team. They beat Chicago at home. That's good. It's not great. It's not what a performance. No, calm down. He needs to go away to San Francisco, away to Seattle, away to Arizona. He's got the Bucs in week 3. I need to see Stafford play well against the good teams. And if he doesn't, I'm more than happy to sit up here and say, same old Stafford, 8-67. Can't beat the good teams. 7 touchdownless quarters in the playoffs, his last 7. No touchdowns. Like, if week 1 offered you anything about the Los Angeles Rams with Matthew Stafford, is that they're going to be a problem. Now, can you overcome his demons in Detroit and play well against the good football teams and not blow a lead and not be able to close a deal against Kansas City in week 3 of 2 years ago? Like, he's got to be able to beat the good teams. And if he can't, they're not going anywhere. If they win the division, I would consider that very successful for Matthew Stafford. He's never won a division. And he just so happened to win the division in the hardest division in football. That is an accomplishment. He wins a playoff game, accomplishment. It's a success. Then they go on to the divisional round. Do they make an NFC championship? Do they get to a Super Bowl? I don't know. I don't have all the answers for you. But I know that they're a dangerous team with Matthew Stafford. Whether you want to admit it or not, they are more dangerous with Matthew Stafford than they were with Jared Goff. They look damn good. They look good.
And you saw game 1, like him throwing downfield. And
Matthew Stafford is 0-4 against the Bears against Matt Nagy and Mitchell Trubisky.
Goes in and blows him out.
First game and absolutely blows them out and taunts them. Hits them deep twice. Come on. Stafford's in the best situation he's ever been in. You can't compare it to Detroit. The only way you can compare it is at the end of the season. Is he winning games on the road against good football teams? Does he have a winning record this year against good football teams? And if he does, well, then you got to look yourself in the mirror, Detroit, and say, you know what? The Fords really messed this one up. It's not really on Stafford. You can say that if he goes out and makes an NFC championship appearance or even makes a Super Bowl appearance. If he's able to accomplish everything in 1 year that he couldn't accomplish in 12 in Detroit, I rest my case. But right now, Stafford has to prove it. I'm not giving him anything. He is 8-67 against winning football teams. He does have 0 division titles. He is turnover prone in late games against good teams. He has all those mistakes and faults. But he also has qualities that I believe Sean McVay will do a good enough job of highlighting the strengths and really knocking down the weaknesses. And that's a dangerous situation. So you guys can rag on Stafford all you want in the chat. I'll agree with almost everything you say. But I didn't see Pat Stafford in his first game in LA. I saw him go for over 150 passer rating for the first time in his career. He never did that once in Detroit, and that was 12 seasons. His first game away from Detroit, he had his highest career passer rating. Look, save yourselves the trouble and stop comparing Stafford in LA to Detroit. He's got the best situation he's ever been in, the best roster he's ever had. And you can go, well, Joik, tell him about 2011, 2013. Tell him, Joik. Shut up. You can't compare that Detroit Lions roster and the coaching staff to what the LA Rams have now. And it's that simple. Whether you want to admit it or not. That's the truth. That's the truth. Sorry. Truth hurts, but at the end of the season, we can evaluate Matthew Stafford for what he is. Right now, you can't. You need to see him play away against good football teams. You need to see him play Tampa Bay. You need to see him play Dallas. You need to see Matthew Stafford play good football teams so you can make the decision like, all right, it was Detroit's fault or it was his fault. So until you do that, there's nothing to prove here. There's nothing to prove. And there's nothing you can say that's going to change my mind on Stafford. He's a better quarterback than Goff. End of discussion. He played for the Detroit Lions, the most miserable franchise in the last 60 years. And he was miserable down the stretch against good football teams. But I find it ironic. First game with a new team, new coaching staff, better offense, better defense, better coaching, better organizational structure. He just so happens to have a career night. What a coincidence. My goodness. He got lucky, Adam. He got lucky. Take me away, Kennedy.
All right. Well, coming up, we're going to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo and, the potential for the rest of his career. But first, I have a little competition for our friends in the YouTube chat. I have a pair of tickets to RiffFest thanks to our friends at Jose Cuervo. So the first person to type Cuervo in the chat, you will get 2 tickets to RiffFest. So go ahead, type Cuervo right in the chat. While you're doing that, tell me about our friends at Lady Jane's, Jeff.
All right, listen, fellas. Football season is finally here, and it's time to make your grooming experience easy like a Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team, the Lions, play. And before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime because it's wicked awesome.
Opa! Introducing Papa Romano's new Greek pizza, a tasty blend of bold Greek flavors and Mediterranean toppings, including feta cheese and Greek dressing. Get a large Greek pizza for a limited time for $16.99. Order now at paparomanos.com.
Morning, Art. Morning, D-Mac.
Welcome back, everybody. You're tuning into the Morning Wood on the Woodward Sports Network. Happy to have you here on a beautiful Tuesday. All right, so Jimmy G is claiming that he's okay with this, but first he came out in a press conference and named himself the starting QB, and that was before it was even, public or anything. He just said, no, I'm starting week 1. But obviously he is slowly but surely being replaced. The first few weeks are kind of seeming like it's just a showcase for him to get traded, if that makes sense, in my humble opinion. But Trey Lance is already taking snaps, which means Jimmy G is almost out the door. What does this mean for him in his 8th NFL season, Adam?
I think when you're Jimmy Garoppolo, let's just start with confidence. When you date a porn star, you got to have some confidence, right? So if you're publicly dating a porn star, that just tells me you could care less what the public thinks. And that's great. That's what I want out of my quarterback. Maybe not the porn star part, but I want the confidence at least. So we can start there. Look, Jimmy G knows very well he's got the next year to 2 years max in San Francisco. And then he's got to move on. They drafted Trey Lance. They think a lot of him. I'm sure he thinks a lot of Trey Lance. And the respect between him and Kyle Shanahan, I think, is there, something that wasn't there between McVay and Goff towards the end of their tenure. So Kyle Shanahan is going to put Jimmy Garoppolo in every situation possible to be successful. Every situation possible. And I think they're going to be good. I'm not too worried. I think this is a dark horse team that can make a run in the NFC Championship game. If you told me, but come late January, the Niners were in the championship game, I'd be like, wow, that I'm not surprised. Dallas would surprise me. Even Tampa Bay to an extent, they would surprise me to be able to fight and get back there with, they're at the top of the league right now. People are gunning for them. So if they make it, okay, wow, that was impressive. Who, New Orleans? Green Bay's not going to make it. Who's going to make it? Any of these NFC West teams, but I really think Jimmy G is in a good place right now. I think he's on his way out, similar to an Alex Smith, but he'll be able to find himself an opportunity because Kyle Shanahan will really, really make him look good these next 2 years, Jeff.
I think, obviously, he knows his time's coming, and it's limited because they just drafted Trey Lance 3rd overall. Now they have Jimmy G. He played great game 1 against a team that necessarily couldn't stop him, or stop anybody for that matter. But I don't think it's the Detroit Lions that's going to determine whether Jimmy G will stay as a starter. It's going to come down to week 3, 4, 5, and 6. You got the Packers, Seahawks, Cardinals, and the Colts. That's a tough stretch of games, and Kyle Shanahan, the injuries they suffered last year, and not just for the team. Jimmy G has injury history. You got to keep him on the field. And everything they went through last year, they want to get back into that NFC championship conversation, making a deep playoff run. And if Jimmy G craps the bed midway through the season, I'm curious to see how Kyle Shanahan handles it. Will he go all in and start a Trey Lance? Because he's already seeing repetitions now. He was in Game 1. He threw his first touchdown pass in his first attempt. Or let things settle into next year and let Trey Lance get a full year as a starter, let him process, just kind of take in information. It's really what Kyle Shanahan's goals are for the season if Jimmy G can keep up with them. Because I think he'll work in the system. I think Alex Smith comparison's perfect. I think you could see Jimmy go to a Washington football team or go to like Denver, anywhere else to start his new chapter. But I think his 49ers career is over in about a year. I think this is probably his last year with the team. Because I don't see Trey Lance why he isn't in year 2. He'll be ready. He already threw his first touchdown pass, his first attempt. So it's really about, can Jimmy G stay healthy, and will he get rattled midway through the season when they start versing good NFC West teams or just good teams in general? When they verse against the Cardinals, how they hold up against in their own division. Because if you're getting smacked down,
I agree.
Yeah,
we can have the same conversation about LA. Really, we can.
Yeah,
you got to prove you can beat the good teams in your division. Like, he has both Jimmy Garoppolo and Matthew Stafford have 6 opportunities, Jeff, to win very difficult football games. And if they come out with a winning record, impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Impressive. That shows your intent. I'm so curious what the NFC West is going to look like. That is probably the best division in football I've seen in years. Years. We thought it would be the AFC North, Cleveland, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh. And then, Cincinnati's on the up, but they're not a good team yet. And we kind of backtracked from that now because, the Ravens lost, Bengals won, Steelers won, and the Browns lost. They couldn't beat the Chiefs after jumping out to an early lead. Nothing dynamic about them.
Right.
There's so much to play for this year. My only concern with Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be his health. If he's healthy, this is a 9, 10, 11 win football team. In the hardest division in football, they're a 9, 10, 11 win football team. If he's hurt, I don't know if he gets a second contract in the NFL. I don't. Maybe he turns into a backup, but he's not getting a starting job. He's not getting a starting contract. So, chat's still furious over Matthew Stafford. Jeff, what does Stafford have to do to change your mind?
It's like you said,
towards the end of the season.
It's what he does against good football teams with good records and what he does in the playoffs in the postseason, because those are the two things that everybody has questions about. It's not if he can put up stats. Matthew Stafford's he's got a gifted arm. He can make any throw on the football field, and he's a great leader. What we question is, and you could blame the Detroit Lions franchise, his record against winning football teams and his winless record of the playoffs. And your 7-quarter, no touchdowns in the playoffs. That's the stuff I want to see. This regular season, they could win 11 games. I'm still going to be saying, let's see this postseason. Let's see what happens. And let's see if he flames out. Not that I'm rooting for it, but that's what you're looking for. Will he make a Super Bowl run now that he's on a different team? Those are the questions I'm looking for. It shouldn't be, it should just be how this NFC West holds up. If Jimmy G he's clearly the worst quarterback in the division, but if they end with the worst record in the division, I think Trey Lance slides in there because Trey Lance has the ceiling to be up there with these guys. I think Jimmy G's capped out and his health's in question. And we'll see. He's not a very mobile quarterback. They could do so much more with Trey Lance once he finally gets it and gets some NFL game experience under him. But as of right now, I think the big thing for all these teams in the NFC West is, can Jimmy G stay healthy, like you said, because they're on track to win 9-10 football games? Or will he just fluster out and crap the bed midway through the season? There's a lot of things with Jimmy G I'm curious to see. Same with Matthew Stafford, which Matthew's more proven in a way that statistically as a quarterback. Obviously, Jimmy G got to the Super Bowl, but those are the questions I'm having. Can Matthew Stafford beat winning football teams? What does he do in the postseason? Jimmy G staying healthy, and can you get over the week 3, 4, 5, and 6 when you start facing teams that should end with around the same record as you? So those are the two things I'm looking for, man. I don't see Trey Lance officially starting this year, but he's going to get plenty of action. And if Jimmy G can't stay healthy, he's next in line. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's ironic that there are so many teams that are able to put together winning football teams and still have a future quarterback sitting in the saddle. The Chiefs were able to do it. You saw, even with, to an extent, the Texans. The Texans were kind of winning.
Dolphins kind of.
They were like in the middle of the pack. Dolphins middle of the pack. But like the Chiefs are the perfect example because they were in the playoffs winning games. But San Francisco, we consider them a Super Bowl roster, and they just drafted their future quarterback. 3rd overall. They traded up and made the move. I think Detroit has a lot to learn. I think they have a lot to learn from the teams around them: Seattle, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Kansas City, Indianapolis to an extent. The playbook is out there. If you're willing to just swallow your pride a little bit and say, you know what, we don't need to be the smartest people in the room. Let's fall in love with the quarterback. When we do, we'll take him, and we'll groom him, and he'll become our guy. We're not paying $40 million for Jared Goff to continue going forward in 2 years, but that's about it. We gotta head to break, and when we come back, Kennedy, we got the AL Rookie of the Year conversation to talk about. I'm not following. I don't know if Badu is in that conversation.
No, he's not.
Maybe
he's the only one out of all of them that.
I don't know, Kennedy. You tell me.
All right. Well, before we go, please tell me about BetQL.
Well, BetQL actually finally won me a ton of money. I've listened. On a few bets, I was basically even on it. I went 50-50. It was not bad. 50% is good, and they gave me that. But last night, they gave me something even more rewarding. Well, not last night, but Sunday night. I put together the Rams and the Raiders parlay together using the BetQL format. And I got to say, it was very assuring that I had a chance. The odds were more in my favor if I took the Raiders to cover, but I wanted to gamble a little bit. I took the Raiders to win, and it gave me my pros and cons about it, and I love it. And if you want to get an advantage over the sportsbook like I do, and I'm an avid bettor, just spend the $2 a day and get this type of software. It is worth it. I can't preach this enough. You need to download the BetQL app, the only app you'll ever need to make smart bets. Plus, their platform has all the data and analytics you'd ever need for all your own betting research. Head to the App Store or Google Play Store now to download the BetQL app and get started. Use code WSN to get an additional 25% off your subscription.
Fellas, football season is here. It's time to make your grooming experience easy like Sunday morning. Get to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Walk in, relax, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Get to Lady Jane's, open 10 to 8, 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Make sure you download the Woodward Sports app in the App Store and the Google Play Store today. Take Woodward Sports with you wherever you go and listen live on your phone or mobile device.
All right, everybody. Well, the Lions came out with dear God, the Tigers came out with this video of their 3 potential rookies of the year. Alex, do we have it? No? That's okay. If not. But anyway, I want you guys to tell me who should win. I want you to go through all 3 of these men and tell me why they should not be rookie of the year.
Well, I don't honestly think you can make a realistic case for anybody, but I like Akil Badu out of all those guys. I think his almost 100 hits in the season, 12 homers, 50 RBIs. I think he's batting a .26 batting average. I think those things stand out to me. I like that. Obviously, he doesn't have a realistic shot of winning. I mean, if you go over to the sportsbettingdime.com, he has a plus 7,000 chance to win it. Obviously, Randy Rosarina is leading outfielder for the Rays, minus 160. There's a handful of guys you could pick for AL Rookie of the Year over a guy like Akil Badu, but you cannot deny the year he's had is impressive. I mean, guys like Eric Haas could be, somewhat not in that conversation, but guys who have had great years. But yeah, I'd like Akil Badu. I mean, none of these guys are going to win it, but if you had to pick one, Adam, I mean,
None have made the case to be Rookie of the Year. Not Badu. Maybe Haas deserves to be the 8th, 9th, 10th place vote, but they're nowhere near Rookie of the Year candidates. If you want to announce the Tigers Rookie of the Year, I would give it to Eric Haas. That's just my preference, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. Because none of them should be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year.
Well, at least Haas has already been Rookie of the Month. I think he was the Rookie of the Month in July.
Yeah, but having a good month is different than having a good season.
I'm saying,
and neither have put together a consistent season. And of the 3, only really Eric Haas has.
Right.
So Tigers Rookie of the Year, internally, I'm okay with giving it to Haas, but to be part of the AL Rookie of the Year conversation.
There's too many guys.
Is a big no for me. There's too many guys, and they're just playing way better than the Tigers players are playing. They're not even near the conversation. So that kind of sucks, honestly, because of the three, like who do you put? It's got to be Haas. It can't be Baddoo. If you told me back in April, who was it going to be? It was going to be Baddoo.
Beginning of the season,
he's quieted down
already.
So
he's quieted down.
He came out hot, and then it was like, nothing else after. What do I do?
I like Akil Baddoo or Haas, but yeah, they're not going to win it. Obviously, you got Adolis Garcia, Wander Franco, Luis Garcia.
I think if you want to talk about next season, maybe it's the better conversation, like because you're going to have two different sides of the game up for awards, and what I mean by that is your manager AJ Hinch will be in the conversation for Manager of the Year next year, given that the Tigers take the step I think they're going to take. And then you have Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green, who will likely be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. If they get called up early enough, we'll have to wait and see. So I think next year is more realistic to even put, your young guys into that conversation of Rookie of the Year. But not yet. Not this class, at least. I don't think they're anywhere near the top.
I wish the MLB did like like my man Chuck Brewer said, case to be on our all rookie team. Can we start doing the teams? Maybe Eric Haas squeezes on an all rookie team, but yeah, AL Rookie of the Year. There's too many guys who are playing better. As much as I love a Tiger to win it, got to be realistic. Got no shot, but
yeah, no chance.
Doesn't mean you can't talk about the play. Like Eric Haas, Akil Baddoo. You can praise them. But AL Rookie of the Year is just a step up. It's a big step up there.
Okay, we gotta move on to something we discussed earlier in the week, and really even last week to an extent. We visited ranking the NFC North quarterbacks, and I'm curious to see if your mind has changed. I don't think you'd ever change Aaron Rodgers from off of one game, but not just the quarterbacks, but the teams overall. Did you learn something new about each team that maybe, Jeff, you weren't really expecting? I'll start. And the Vikings really showed me that they have a football team that maybe they're not a playoff contender, but you know what? They're a pain in the butt to play against. That I took away for sure. You got to deal with Thielen and Justin Jefferson on offense. That doesn't even take into consideration you have to deal with Dalvin Cook.
And he didn't have a good game.
And their defense was kind of okay. Yeah. It wasn't awful, it wasn't great, but it was okay. It was middle of the pack. They're just going to be a difficult team to play against. I don't want to play them. The Bears, I think, have bust potential. I think they could be very, very awful if they just stick with Andy Dalton. If they put in Justin Fields, we're having a different conversation. But just off today, going forward, if you're telling me that Andy Dalton's the starter for the next 8 weeks, I'm taking the Bears to lose every single game. I don't think they can win with Dalton. And I think they are a quarterback away from being a respectable team. Not a playoff contender, but a respectable team. And then you look at the Lions, the talent isn't the same as it is across the board. And the other, I named 3 players on Minnesota on one side of the ball. The only comparison you could give me was T.J. Hawkinson. Swift and Jamal Williams aren't at that level yet. They could be, but I don't think they're there yet. You look at even Chicago, Allen Robinson. Okay, let's negate that with T.J. Hawkinson. David Montgomery. Okay, let's negate that with Swift and Jamal Williams. But then I have, the defensive side of the ball. I got playmakers at least. I've got playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. And for Detroit, I have nothing. So really what I noticed is I think the NFC North it might be doing its best NFC East impression. I think it's going to be a division where I may have to retract the win totals for the 2 and 3 spots. So I originally had 10-7 or 11-6 for the winner, which was Green Bay. I think that's a 10-7 winner. I think Minnesota 8-9, Chicago 6-10 or 6-11, and then Detroit 4-13, 3-15, or 3-14 or 4. Am I saying it right? So there's 17 games, 3-14, not 3-13.
So we're doing
this whole 17-game schedule has thrown me off.
We're doing NFC North rankings or QB?
Overall, just like your takeaways. Okay. I don't want to get into the rankings so much, but I know we had just discussed it.
Right.
And Green Bay really disappointed me week 1. So I don't know. I think this division may be It's trending down for sure right now. Small sample size, but
you take it with a grain of salt. I mean, the first game of the season, obviously, the Packers looked absolutely awful, but it doesn't change where I have them ranked each. I have the Packers still 1, Vikings, and then the Bears or Lions. You can do whatever you want with them, swap them however you want, because if they keep Andy Dalton in that lineup, I don't see how they're going to come in and absolutely destroy the Detroit Lions, because Andy Dalton didn't look good. If I had my quarterback ranking, it would still be Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Andy Dalton. That's how I keep it. That's how I had it before the season.
I would change it. No, it's wrong.
How was it wrong?
It's got to be Rodgers, Cousins.
Don't even say anybody else. Who would you put?
Originally I put Fields 3.
He hasn't played.
But let's just say I put Goff 3. I just think you got to stop it at 4 and put Fields. I don't think Dalton should even qualify on the list. Like, he should not even be on the list. He was awful, man.
I know, he was awful.
He's just god-awful. Bears need to... If the Bears want to be respectable and, like, win 8, 9, 10 games, which I don't even think they can, you got to just get Fields out there. Like, no more beating around the bush. If inside the organization you believe you have a team that can win now, put in Fields. If you don't, sit Fields. Let him get reps. Have Andy Dalton just go out there and get murdered. Everything will be okay. And then next season, it's like, all right, we need this offseason to make some moves. Mac is going to go. We need to address the D-line. We need to address we need the right receiving core needs to get a little better. Our offensive line needs help. A lot of work to do in Chicago. A lot of work to do. So I'm curious. It really threw me off a little bit. I was not expecting the NFC North to show out that poorly.
No.
If you would have told me before even week 1, before even the preseason, you looked at the Lions schedule, you would have looked at Philly. You would have said, we have a chance, right? Agree?
Yes.
Cincinnati, have a chance, right?
Of course.
Denver, have a chance, right? Atlanta, well, we know what Atlanta is now, but,
yeah.
3 of the 4 teams I just gave you won comfortably and really looked good outside of Cincy. They still look good, but, it was a close game, went to overtime, but what is it? It's going to be a tough year. I don't know where Detroit's getting their wins. I don't know where half the NFC North are getting their wins. Mm-hmm. I think your division winner might be a 10-7 Green Bay Packers team. Brandon feels it could be 9-8. 9 wins might be enough to win the division this year. You might be right, Brandon. And the Packers likely to come out and win on Monday night. We'll get to that later in the week, but.
And let me say something to make your point or Brandon's point. The NFC North is in the top 10. All the teams in the NFC North for the toughest schedule.
Back to back. Yep. Based on opponent's schedule, correct? Yep.
Correct. Yep. And Vikings and Packers lead that 3 and 4. So, it's going to be a tough year for the NFC North. I think you're spot on with the point. The Packers winning the division at 10 wins. I think that's very doable because obviously the scheduling, they're third. They got the Washington, the Giants, and the Packers. So yeah, it's going to be a bad year for the NFC North, and I think the Lions and the Bears are going to be bottom. I don't care how you have them, but.
Yeah, either way, they're both going to suck, right? Especially if Dalton's going to play a majority of the year. So that's where I'm at.
Now let's get into these Fish facts, man.
All right. Well, Kennedy, take us away because Fish is dancing right now.
All right.
He's so excited. He's driving me.
Fish is pumped. Fish is pumped. Art's going to swap with him and be in the audio booth. So hello to Art. And Fish is going to come sit here. We're going to do a little magic trick where Fish and I switch spots when we come back. So stick around for Fish's facts. But before we go, I got to hear about our friends over at Levels.
All right. Well, what more can I say about Levels, everyone? Starting right now, you can get 10% off just by mentioning Woodward Sports. So please, if you do visit, mention Woodward Sports. Whether you're in the store or the app, make sure you mention us. They'll get you an additional 10% off. Everything from T Grizzlies Gas to D-Max Special Strain and edibles are all on sale now. Please download the Enjoy Levels app. It's available both on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store.
Hi, I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. With historically low interest rates and 5-star service, you could pay your mortgage off faster without increasing your monthly payment. Get started now at 248-308-5000 or chat with us online. Call hallfirst.com.
Would you like to win a custom-built chopper while helping our veterans at the same time?
Then watch as we turn this bike into a one-of-a-kind classic chopper.
Watch the Call Sam Chopper Shop on our social media channels and get your raffle ticket today at callsam.com/chopper shop.
Is it time?
Yeah, it is.
Fish! Go fish.
Fish facts.
It's fish!
Hello, buddy. Today...
Wait, Fish, before you go. This is Fish out of the tank. right now. This is the fish in just getting a breath of fresh air.
Welcome to society, fish.
Welcome to society, fish.
I'm very happy to be here. I don't like shrinking in this chair. I'm going to be totally honest. I shrink a lot, so I might start. Today is Tuesday. Adam, 4 days to the weekend. I'm very happy that you're happy that there's 4 days left.
Yeah, I don't celebrate the weekend like you, fish. Sorry.
You disappoint me. And I hope you'll be watching Tuesday Night Football, Champions League, right? Or are you going to disappoint me because...
Tuesday Night Football, what?
Champions League? No?
It's not on Tuesday night.
I'll look it up. That's a man who...
Some soccer fan you are. We go
Fish, I am an admirer of all sports, but I don't keep up with soccer. I'll look on my phone and be like, oh, wow, that happened. That's it. I don't have time, fish. It's football season, buddy.
That is football.
No, this is the most important football in the world, fish. There's nothing more important than the NFL.
We go out to Japan.
Japan isn't as important as the NFL.
Day 3 of sumo. Yes, day 3 of sumo that happened this morning. So if any of you can't sleep, 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. is the main card.
Oh my god, that is disgusting.
This guy should start at right tackle for the
guy in the blue. The guy in the blue definitely had Snickers before this.
What? How do you know they both didn't have Snickers?
I can tell by the peck movement.
The peck movement. Oh my god.
Turner Fuji won. He's 3-0, so good for him. He doesn't have really much competition because the other guy's out for COVID. So he probably will end up winning the September tournament. So very exciting. That's in Tokyo, Japan, by the way. No one cares. Speaking of caring, we go to the San Francisco Giants, baseball, by the way, who yesterday clinched earliest that the Giants have ever clinched a playoff spot by calendar date in the franchise history. So congratulations to the Giants for clinching in September. They have about 20 games left?
Yep.
18 games left. So that's big for them to clinch that early is massive for them.
It's big news for them. Still screw the Giants, though.
We got a person that debuted yesterday in the MLB. It is not any of the NFL quarterbacks. It is Jose Siri. First player with multiple home runs and 5+ RBIs in his first career MLB start since the RBI official in 1920. RBI is runs batted in, by the way, if any of you are curious on that.
Thank you, Fish.
There's also another one, not on here, but the Blue Jays got 22 runs on Saturday. They beat out half the NFL for most runs scored. And by the way, the Blue Jays are a baseball team. The NFL is a high school game. If you guys don't care. This is a stat, though, that's on the facts. Speaking of Toronto and Canada, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has 45 home runs, and he leads the majors in home runs. Last player to lead the majors in home runs at age 22 or younger was Juan Gonzalez in 1992.
Fun fact about Vlad Guerrero, he is in the running for a Triple Crown. Leads the league in home runs. He's, I believe, .003 off of the batting title.
Oh.
And I believe he's 3 to 4 hits off of the total hit count. So he's almost there.
Yeah, you guys.
Nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about it national. I'm like surprised. He's like legitimately with 20 games left in the Triple Crown race. He has a hot September. He wins it all. Like that is.
It's crazy to think about.
That is crazy.
You guys show her Otani's kind of falling off a little. I mean,
he's not falling off. The guy's still hitting bombs, but
well, I know, but he's not leading anybody. He was leading the whole season.
Well, yeah, but I don't even know what to say about Otani. It's special. Just enjoy it. I'm not gonna criticize him.
No, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying that he was leading and now he's not. Speaking of leading, you can lead your day off correctly. Today is the 14th of September. We have birthdays today.
Let's go.
I don't know if you want to call him an NFL quarterback or a former NFL quarterback, but it's his birthday, so celebrate it. Deshaun Watson.
Oh, I like how you phrased that.
Why is everyone booing? No, if Deshaun Watson was in Detroit tomorrow for Jared Goff straight up, you would be on your knees praying.
I said, ooh, like it was a good burn. That's what I was saying. Fish got him with that.
He's a bad person. He's not guilty yet. So until he's guilty, he's not a bad person.
20-something women. He's probably guilty.
Can we get this fish booth? Look what's going on. Like,
I would love to get the fish booth if there was a camera.
I wish there was a camera in that fish booth.
Move on, jet people. Let's go.
We have another birthday today.
Children, my goodness.
We have, it's also Michael Crabtree's birthday, who is an NFL player. And we have a basketball player who, Adam, I think you love this guy, Jimmy Butler.
No, I don't,
actually. It is his birthday.
He doesn't love anyone.
I don't like Jimmy Butler
So happy
at
birthday
all.
to Jimmy Butler. Happy to everyone else that has a birthday on September 14th. Almost forgot the day. And he'll be back for Wednesday. I'm messing up everything. Tomorrow's Wednesday.
You Lions fans booing
Those are the
Deshaun
facts.
Watson and oh, boo, he's a horrible. You deserve another
By the way,
60 years of losing.
I heard you say 10-7. That's going to be the Lions, right?
What are you doing,
10-7
Kennedy?
Lions?
Shut up, Fish. Shut
said
up. You guys are a
10-7
disaster right now. What is going on?
10-7
Are you
Lions.
Fish? No, they're not going 10-7.
Well, you said 10-7.
Well, not with that
Lions.
They're not going 10-7, buddy. They're not.
Disappointment, Adam.
You're disappointing with
Couch
that
Cam
you
Fish.
actually think
No,
that.
but for real, Adam, Couch Cam Fish is
Shut up.
different.
Shut up,
He's-
Art. Shut up.
He's a force.
We're not doing this right now.
He is different,
All right,
though.
listen. Fish, thank you so much. Lovely as always. Mike, you guys are irresponsible. Unbelievable. All right, we got to move on.
All right.
Kennedy.
Well, now we have to talk about picking your next cornerback because, ours is out. He's gonesies. But Campbell has said if he is likely to be the next one up, but he hasn't ruled out Jerry Jacobs or Bobby Price quite yet. So, you guys, who are you taking at corner? Jeff?
That right there, Jerry Jacobs or A.J. Parker, or Iffy. You invest in Iffy. I mean, come on, guys. I saw some comments yesterday. Richard Sherman. No, absolutely not. Number one, he's in talks with the 49ers, but regardless, keep that man away from the culture Campbell's trying to build. He's, 34 years old? It may benefit to really give these young guys opportunities. Yes, there's going to be more mistakes happening, but definitely more improvement. You bring back, you bring back Quentin Dunbar, maybe not. I'm okay with sticking with the young guys in Iffy, Melifanu, Jerry Jacobs, AJ Parker. Those guys have displayed something in the preseason that you could build off of. Put them in, get some reps, and you need these guys to start making plays and putting good film out there. So I'm okay. I don't need to. I don't know how Adam feels about this, but I doubt you'd be advocating for getting any of these washed-up vets in free agency. Go out there, let the young guys play. It kind of is a similar point with the wide receivers. Like, what do you have to lose? The secondary is already one of the worst in the league. Why go out and snag a veteran who won't
You
help
make a move for a veteran corner if you're trying to win now.
Right.
The Detroit Lions are not trying to win now. I know that may hurt your feelings, but the Detroit Lions are not trying to win right now. So let the young players, Bobby Price, AJ Parker, Iffy, let them get their reps. They're going to get beat. They're going to have their struggles, but they're going to learn along the way. And Aaron Glenn and that defensive coaching staff is going to take care of them. This is a blessing in disguise. As much as you don't want to lose Okuda, it's just going to force these guys to grow. Either they're going to sink or they're going to swim. It's one of the two. Yep. And ideally, they swim. And then you walk away like heading into next year. Wow. Like, they held their own. Like, we can work with this. We add this piece. We add this piece. We add this. We're good. You don't want them all to sink, and then you just don't have a secondary. It's tough. It's tough. I like A.J. Parker. I think he had a very good preseason.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can do a good job.
And it's a chance to see this defense without Jeff Okuda, which not necessarily is a bad thing. I mean, this defense is already horrible. And people want to blame Jeff Okuda for that secondary, all those mistakes. Put some other guys in there and put them in the same position. Let's see what they can do. Will the same mistakes get made? I'm just excited to see Aaron Glenn. I mean, this guy, yes, bad defensive performance for the most part, but he doesn't have much to coach. I mean, the guy is
no, he does. He's got a lot of young talent.
But
he's got
I'm saying
so much to do this year.
Produce results, I know.
I'm not interested, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
we're on the
okay.
same page
That's
there.
what I'm saying. Like,
he's got a young defensive
Yes.
line, young linebacking core, young secondary. I don't want to hear anything about coaching. They have their work cut out for them, yes, to produce results, but we're not looking for results right now.
No.
We're looking for the individual
Development.
growth of every single player on that defensive team. That's it. That's all we're asking for. I don't need you guys to lead the league in scoring. I don't need you guys to lead the league in yards per play, yards allowed. It doesn't matter. I could care if you're 32nd on every single one of them. Just please, show improvement throughout the year. Don't be a Jeff Okuda and just not show anything and make the same mistakes over and over. Don't be a Penei Sewell on the right side.
Mm-hmm.
Awful all 3 preseason games. If someone's out of position, put them in the right position to win. Stop experimenting. We're past that point. Find out what you got. Either you've got a young group of secondary talent that can develop, or you don't. And you need to figure that out before the end of the year. It's that simple.
And I think what I was saying, I trust Aaron Glenn to at least coach the young guys. Like, I think that's a great. He developed for the New Orleans Saints. They had Marshawn Lattimore, Marcus Williams. They developed a lot of young secondary guys in on that team. So get them over to the Detroit Lions. You've got such a young secondary. Jerry Jacobs, A.J. Parker, it just keeps getting younger. So he's in a good position. Like you said, not going to produce results, but in terms of just teaching, he's a great mentor. And Aubrey Pleasant's going to be up there behind, making sure they get the job done. So, just play the young guys and see what they can do. Start evaluating these guys. They cut Corn Elder for Jerry Jacobs and A.J. Parker. Let's see why you cut him. Let's get him some playing time. So start experimenting. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect year to experiment. See what you got and move forward. I don't want to keep repeating the same message, but I think it's very important for every Lions fan, especially the ones that don't agree with me, to really understand. You're in a rebuild. What are you looking for in a rebuild? You're looking to gain draft capital, see
100%.
improvement from your young talent, and ideally you're making good decisions in the offseason that'll take this team, which I believe, with a good enough offseason, can be an 8 to 9 win football team next year. That is a big improvement considering I think they're going to win 3, 4, 5 games.
Right.
It's a huge improvement. And if they get the quarterback right in the next 2 years, well, now you're looking at division contenders. And congratulations, Detroit. Welcome to becoming an actual football team where you're actually competing for your division and not just starting off the season hot and throwing it off by the end of the season. Or, all the teams are bad in our division, so, now we can actually compete. No. Don't worry about everyone else. Jeff Okuda needs to blossom when he comes back from injury. Penei Sewell needs to turn out good. One of your defensive linemen need to turn out good that you went and got. Ideally, Derek Barnes turn into a solid linebacker for the future. The secondary is god-awful. You're praying Iffy and A.J. Parker show glimpses of just good corner play, and once you build something around them, a good pass rush, a good linebacking core, then maybe you have something there. But they can't do it all by themselves, so just, judge them individually. That's it. Be patient. If you want to jump on this stupid limo with Fish and Art that they're going to go 10-7, you're going to be very disappointed, and you're going to hate Dan Campbell. I don't want to hate Dan Campbell after 1 year. I want to like him. So I'm going to like him if he wins 3, 4, 5 games because that's what I expected. If you're going to expect 10 wins, I can't help you. I can't help you.
Art just gave you the finger.
I don't care. Let them all give me the
passionate.
finger. What do they know? They know 6 years of losing. That's all they know.
You're
all right?
a loser.
So listen. Before we get out of here, I want to reiterate the Penei Sewell Taylor Decker situation. If Taylor Decker is more than willing, which I think he is, he's a professional, he's a good guy, he's a captain. If he's willing to move to the right side, I have a good core foundation for the next 3 to 4 years on my offensive line. And Penei Sewell can develop on the left side, and I'm happy. Fair? Cool. If for any reason I get a significant offer, a first and a fourth, a first, maybe even a third, I doubt it, but we're being, realistic. What can you get? Maybe a first, ideally, that'd be great, but a second and a fifth, a second and a fourth, I don't know what the value is for a Taylor Decker. It depends on the team and what they're trying to do. If Kansas City goes down a player, if Cleveland loses their left tackle, then you're probably getting a first-round pick, but it's not going to be till the 24th, 28th range. So
right.
If Decker can stay on the right side, I'd be more than happy. And if he doesn't want to play on the right, or if this coaching staff is dumb enough to move Penei Sewell back to the right, I think the Lions are in deep trouble. I really do.
And you hit it right on the head. It's the fact that they asked Taylor Decker, approach the man. He's a captain, like you said, and see what his thoughts on it are. Like, what do you think about moving to the right side? Do you disagree? And if so, why? And explain the situation. Like, he saw Sunday's game. He's not an idiot. He saw Penei Sewell but win that matchup for the most part against Nick Bosa, who did get a sack on him. But for the most part, you got to admit his performance was impressive. Debuted game in the NFL, and he holds Nick Bosa pretty much stagnant most of the game. Taylor Decker's watching. So, yeah, you approach him. You see what he wants to do. He's 28 years old. By the time the Lions get back on track, he could be 30. So it's like, do you trade him now while he's valuable? Just signed a contract? We'll see. But either way, it's an interesting conversation, and I'm sure we'll be revisiting this.
I like Decker on the right. If he plays, that's great. You're good for the next 2, 3, 4 seasons.
Right.
For any reason, even if he does play on the right and you want to move on him, move on. What's the problem? You're getting a first-round pick for a right tackle that you can easily replace in free agency or late in the draft, second or third round. You can even reach and get one in the first round if there's something out there that you like. Replacing Taylor Decker, it's not like Taylor Decker's the best left tackle in the game.
Not Trent Williams type.
He's not like a Hall of Fame left tackle. My goodness, I've never seen anything like this. That's what you're expecting Sewell to become, not Taylor Decker.
He's top 10. We can admit that.
Yeah, but okay, that's good. He's a very good left tackle. But he's not the game's best.
No.
He's not the best of the best. So if you move him to the right and he plays well and you're happy with it, great. But if you want to move on from him, I'm not going to stand in your way, especially if that means Penei Sewell stays on the left. That's all I'm asking for.
Because his upside is top 5, top 3 left tackle.
You saw it in one game.
Yeah.
What Penei Sewell did in one game, Taylor Decker never pulled off in his career. I'll leave it at that.
All right, you guys, well, we got to get out of here. Big shout out to Tammy before we go for winning those Riff Fest tickets. Thanks to our friends at Jose Cuervo. We will be right back here, same place, same time tomorrow. Well, see you later.